So can you mirror your phone screen on your Harley Davidson? And why on earth would you want to do that? Well, not every app that's available on your phone is available in CarPlay or Android Auto. So that means you actually have to open up your phone and unlock it to get to that application. And for me, I would love to be able to manage my insulin pump while I'm riding. But others may have an app that you want to use that just doesn't exist in Android Auto or CarPlay. A good example of that is the HD app. So if you use HD Ride Planner, you can't open that as an app on your Harley Davidson screen unless you opt in for the embedded navigation, which has its own series of problems. But if you like to draw out your rides on the HD Ride Planner, which is a great app, you cannot display them on CarPlay or Android Auto. So to mirror your phone, there are a few options out there. And today, I'm looking at this one by AutoCast, the Mirror Touch. So this basically takes the display port function of your phone and plugs it into the bike. So it'll give you an option to display your phone screen on the Harley screen. However, your phone must support a DisplayPort connection. So my Moto G here actually does not, but the Samsung does, and the iPhones, at least the newer ones, do. So that means you can plug a cable in here and display your phone on a television or a computer screen, or in this case, maybe on your infotainment system. So our AutoCast mirroring devices has cables on both sides. So on this side is a USB-A, but they include an A to C, which we're going to need for the Harley. So this will plug directly into your vehicle, or in this case, the bike. The other side is a cable for your phone. It's got a picture of a phone on it. And you need to plug this in wired to mirror. Now this device supports wireless CarPlay all by itself, but we really don't need it for that. We're trying to mirror. So we're going to end up using this cable with our phone. So I have my bike booted up and I have a headset connected as ride or roll. I'm using my Madehawk bypass. I'm going to plug the AutoCast right into the Madehawk bypass. And it's going to show a blue indicator light. It'll start blinking. And once it boots, this is what we're presented with. We're presented with a CarPlay icon for wireless CarPlay, iOS mirroring for iPhones, and Android mirroring for Android phones. But you'll notice the display is kind of cut off here. So it's not fitting the Harley display absolutely correctly. So what I'm going to do is hit the menu button. I'm going to go up to the gear, and I'm going to go to display, and then we'll switch the layout from cruise over to tour. And we'll pick that, and that will scoot this over. So we'll go back to CarPlay to bring up the AutoCast, and now we can see the whole display. The problem is over here it's grayed out because this is where the bike's widget would be. So if I hit the trip switch button, you can see all the information's coming up about the Harley, and the last one is blank. So it really doesn't display correctly, but at least we can see it. So let's give it a try. So I'm going to start with my iPhone, and I'll plug it into the AutoCast box. And then we'll tap iOS Mirror. It gives me some instructions. We've now connected the cable. We're going to unlock the phone. And there it is, my iPhone. But it's pretty small. There isn't a lot you can do with that. So you can see how small my iPhone is on the screen. Now I can tap on things. So if I tap on my Dexcom app, it actually opens and I can see my blood sugar results. And if I try to swipe up from the bottom, it's pretty tough. And there we go. So you're using your finger to navigate your phone. So if I wanted to hit my Omnipod app, I can open it, but you can see it wants a Face ID. So good luck doing that while you're riding. But now I could go to bolus and I could do a correction bolus. But this would be very difficult while riding. And also the hand controls don't work. They don't go over. They give me the menus on the sides, but they don't interact with the iPhone. And the problem is, since it's at a vertical orientation, I can't really see much. It's just too small. So you may think to yourself, well, just rotate your phone over to put it in landscape mode. The problem is iPhone stopped doing this after iPhone version 10. So you can no longer look at the home screen while it's in the landscape orientation. And that's because they wanted the Face ID camera to work. So they turned off that ability. But if I open up an app, so if I go back into my Omnipod app, I can rotate the Omnipod app on the side. And now you can see it takes up a lot more of the screen. But the problem is now I can't issue a correction in this orientation. So if I open up the HD application, I can actually go to my rides, and instead of going down and sending it to the bike, I can just tap write it. So if I do that, it wants to send to the bike. But again, you can tap this arrow right here and it'll just start the ride. And then you can put it in landscape mode and it's bigger on the screen.
Now turn left.
And you even get navigation prompts. But the problem is, again, the Harley display is just not working with this AutoCast box. So it's kind of grayed out over on this side. So you could do it, but you're really going to have to touch your phone throughout your ride. And I just don't see how this is practical. So with my Android phone, you end up using the Samsung Dex application. So this gives you mouse control by moving your finger around. So there's a little mouse pointer moving around there. And I can go down to the apps and tap that, and I can see what apps are running. So in this little box here, it's the HD app. So I can actually tap it with my finger, and that'll bring it forward. And you can see it's in landscape format. So I could go down and see my bike, and I could get information, and again, I can start a ride, and it'll be in the landscape mode. So it's a little better in the Android environment, but you still got to touch the phone a lot. Some of the AI boxes actually support mirroring, especially the old ones. There's actually a hardware component to make that Samsung Dex mirroring work. And they do it through a CarCast application, which you'll find is the Car Letter Cast application on your AI box. So you may find it on some of these, but the newer ones don't include it anymore. They don't have the hardware support for it. If you still really want to use the HD Ride Planner app on that big infotainment screen, one other option to consider is to use an Android Auto box that has built-in GPS. So this Anunce Z6 supports a built-in GPS function, something I've talked about before. But you can actually hook this up to your Wi-Fi at home and then load the HD app and then start your ride, and it'll utilize the GPS on the box to navigate the ride. But I think you're going to want to have an internet connection for many of the HD Ride Planner functions. So you'd have to turn on a hotspot to your Android phone and then connect your box's Wi-Fi to your hotspot on your Android phone. So now you would not connect your Android phone to this box at all. You're just going to use it for the app and then the internet connection for all the internet connectivity of HD Ride Planner. Now this would work on an iPhone as well. So you're going to use this box for the HD Ride Planner app, but then you're going to use your iPhone for a hotspot for an internet connection. So it can be done with one of these boxes. So with my Z6 connected, my bike is booting up, my headset showing connected, the Z6's Android will start to boot, and then I'm presented with the box's Android screen. So I'll agree to this, and now I'm looking at the box's operating system, not Android Auto. So I would tap here and then pair my Android phone to launch Android Auto. I could also tap this and launch CarPlay from an iPhone. But what I'm looking at here are the built-in applications that are loaded on the box. And we notice here we have the Play Store. So I could load the HD Ride Planner app, but I would first need to connect this box to a Wi-Fi connection. So I'm going to start with this icon right here, and this will allow me to turn on Wi-Fi and pick a Wi-Fi network. So whether that be the hotspot on your phone or your home's Wi-Fi, if it reaches in your garage, that'll work. Of course, when you're traveling on the road, if you want this box to have an internet connection, you're going to need to use the hotspot feature on your phone. But again, we're not going to pair the phone to the box. So we're not going to use Android Auto or CarPlay. We're using the box's interface. So pick a Wi-Fi network and put in your password. So with my password entered, I'll tap on Connect. So now with the Wi-Fi connection to the AI box, we can go back and then we can launch the Play Store. And guess what? You're going to need to log in. So you're going to have to figure out your Google Play login if you don't know it. So put that in and you'll be at the Google Play Store. So once you're signed in and get through all the legal prompts, you'll be presented with the Google Play Store. So now we can search any Google app and load it, and it'll display on this screen, whether it works with Android Auto or not. Harley Davidson Ride app, and here it is. So we'll tap on it, and we'll tap Install. Now these AI boxes are not super fast. They don't have a very fast computer chip in them, so it's going to be a bit slower. So just be patient with it. All right, about 5 minutes later, we can open the app. And there it is. So we can join or sign in. Again, you're going to need to know your username and password. So we'll tap Sign In and put that information in. One call out. This little menu here gets in the way. This is the Android menu to allow you to go back to the home screen. You can just tap and drag it around if it gets in your way. With my information entered, we'll hit Sign In. And there we go. So we'll allow it to use our location. We'll change it to only using while the app. You can see it's trying to pull down my information. And if I just tap Ride, it'll ask me, well, where do you want to go? But it's pretty slow, and then it crashed. So if I launch it again, it's pretty slow. And again, if I tap Ride, it almost loads the map, and then it crashes. So unfortunately, it's just not working. It's almost working, but not quite. And you have to remember that these Android boxes have older versions of the Android OS. And we know with the Harleys, only the ones with the older OS seem to display correctly on this infotainment screen. So we're really kind of out of luck here. You may have better luck. Give it a try. I would invest in an Android Auto box with the fastest processor you can afford. Anunce has a G6 version with a Snapdragon processor that may work. So I grabbed my Anunce GT6, which has that Snapdragon processor in it. It's the most powerful AI box they make, as far as I know. So here it is, the GT6. And I've got it displayed here on the Harley, and we'll tap on the apps. This will give me the built-in apps, and I've already loaded the HD app. So we'll tap on that, and you can see it loads immediately compared to the Z6. So I can scroll down, and it shows what's going on in the app. If I tap my profile, it will load my profile, and I can go down to my rides. And so if I pick this ride, it shows my path. It's a little slow to go, but I can now go down, and it shows me it's 1 hour and 40 minutes, 75 miles, and I can choose Ride It instead of Send a Bike. So I'll choose Ride It, and so we'll say Continue, and then we'll tap the orange arrow to start it versus sending it to the bike. And so now it's ready to go. And I should get my turn-by-turn directions via audio as well. So now it's working and it's not crashing. So the faster box makes a difference. So the Z6 really struggled to work here, but the GT6 is working. The GT6 is noted as the Magic Box 3.0 Pro with the Snapdragon processor. So that is the key. But look at the price, it's $269. I don't know about you, but you might as well get the embedded navigation for that money. Of course, the embedded navigation doesn't work very well. And this may be a little buggy, but at least it's working. It's important to remember that these Android Auto boxes are built with an Android OS that will not be updated. So whatever Android OS version it came with, that's what will remain. And the HD Ride Planner app will continue to update based on features of the Android OS. So while this Anunce GT6 currently works with the HD Ride Planner app, over time you may run into bugs and it may begin to fail. So can you mirror your phone to your Harley-Davidson screen? Well, at least with the AutoCast, it doesn't work so well with the Harley. And the other options are not that great either. I really wish there was a better option here, but right now I've not found one. So if you have an application that does not run in CarPlay or Android Auto, you're really kind of stuck as far as getting it to display on the Harley's infotainment system. But we'll keep looking and maybe something will come along. But I really hope you found this information useful. And if you did, please consider subscribing if you're not already. I'd love to have you join me on this journey. But until next time, in the friction zone.